Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive with me today?
Always.
Awesome. So, today we're going to be looking at some food safety stuff,
Okay.
but not like the boring kind, you
What?
know? Like,
Uh-huh.
we've got some really interesting stories.
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine you're like getting ready for a big holiday dinner, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have the whole family over,
Yeah.
and you've been working all day on this beautiful golden brown turkey,
Oh, yeah. The
the
centerpiece.
star of the show.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
so proud of it. So you open the fridge to admire your work,
Oh no.
and it's gray.
What? Like completely gray.
Right. Like imagine pulling that out in front of your guests.
That's one way to kill everyone's appetite.
Right. So we've got these articles detailing this exact scenario.
Really?
It blew up online.
Wow.
People were freaking out.
I bet.
But wait, there's more. We also have this story from Thailand that's going to make you think twice about some popular dishes.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So, are you ready to unpack some food mysteries?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's start with this gray turkey.
Yeah, what happened there?
Okay, so this guy posts on Reddit about his attempt to brine a turkey.
Right, to make it extra juicy.
Exactly. He leaves it in this metal pan full of brine for like a whole day.
A whole day.
Yeah. And when he checks on it well, it looked like something out of a horror movie.
I can only imagine.
People on Reddit were like losing their minds.
So what caused it? The metal pan.
You got it. It's like he accidentally electroplated his turkey.
With metal.
Yeah. It's that process they use to coat jewelry, with like a thin layer of gold or
Oh,
silver.
Right. But not all metals are food safe, are they?
Exactly. Some are actually good for you, like we need iron in our diet.
Right.
But others, like lead or cadmium, those are definitely not things you want to be eating.
No, those can be really dangerous.
Yeah, and a doctor actually saw the Reddit post and was like, do not eat that turkey. Seriously. So it really shows how important it is to use the right materials when you're prepping food.
Yeah, like what kind of container should you use for brining?
Plastic is always a safe bet.
Okay, good to know.
This whole thing got me thinking, have you ever brined anything?
I've tried it a couple of times, yeah.
Did you, think about what kind of container you were using?
Honestly, not really.
It's like one of those things you don't really think about until something goes wrong.
True.
Okay, but let's move on to our next story. This one takes us all the way to Thailand. Have you ever heard of a dish called koi pla?
Koi pla.
No, I don't think so.
It's like this spicy fish salad, really popular in a certain region of Thailand.
Okay, what's in it?
So they take raw fish and mince it up really fine.
Raw fish?
Yeah, and then they mix it with lime juice, chilies, herbs, all sorts of good stuff.
Sounds kind of tasty.
Right. Especially on a hot day, I bet. But there's a catch.
Okay, I figured there had to be something. What is it?
The raw fish.
Yeah.
It can carry parasites.
Oh, and these little guys can actually lead to a type of liver cancer.
Liver cancer, wow.
Yeah, it's called cholangiocarcinoma. And it's a pretty serious health risk, unfortunately.
So how common is this type of cancer in Thailand?
It's estimated to kill up to 20,000 Thais every year.
20,000. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a really big problem.
Mm.
And there's this doctor named Narong Kuntikeo who's trying to do something about it.
What's he doing?
He lost both his parents to this type of liver cancer.
Oh, wow.
So he travels all over rural Thailand, educating people about the risks of eating koi pla.
That's amazing.
He even tests villagers for parasites and stuff.
I bet he faces a lot of resistance, though, right? People don't always like to change their habits.
Yeah, especially when it comes to food. It's like tied to their culture and traditions. Older generations especially, they kind of downplay the risks.
It's understandable, in a way.
Yeah, but it's still scary. But you know what's interesting? He's actually starting to see a change in attitude.
Really? That's great.
Yeah, especially among younger people. They're more aware of the dangers.
Sort of like the younger generation is a bit more open to new information, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. It's encouraging. But okay, so we have these two stories. One about a modern brining experiment gone wrong, and one about a traditional dish with a long history. And they both kind of point to the same thing, don't they?
Yeah, it seems like there are always these hidden dangers lurking in the food we eat.
Exactly. Even when we think we're being safe.
It makes you think twice about what you put on your plate.
Right. It's like, how much do we really know about the food we eat?
It's a great question. Something to ponder.
Yeah. And we'll explore that more after a quick break.
Sounds good. I'm ready to dive deeper. It's kind of crazy how both these stories show how traditional food practices and modern science can, clash.
Totally. It's this weird push and pull between doing what we've always done and what we're now learning is, safer or whatever.
Right.
What really got me was the koi pla thing.
Right.
It's
Okay.
considered a delicacy, right?
Yeah.
It's like so ingrained in their culture, but it comes with this huge health risk. Why do you think people still eat it despite knowing the dangers?
That's a really good question. It's complicated, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about taste or habit. You have to think about all the factors that influence what people eat, especially in different cultures.
Right.
Like sometimes cooked food might be more expensive or harder to get.
That's true.
Or maybe it's just like a social thing,
Yeah.
part of their community.
Uh-huh.
Or even just a belief that the old ways are better, safer.
Right, right. Like some people are skeptical of GMOs, even though science says they're fine to eat.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough to change people's minds about stuff like that, especially when it's about food.
Food's so personal.
It is. It's cultural. It's emotional.
Yeah, it's like connected to family history and all that.
Yeah.
So how do you teach people about these risks without disrespecting their culture?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's a tough balance to strike.
Yeah, for sure. It's not about telling people they're wrong or that they can't eat certain foods.
No, absolutely not.
It's more about opening up a conversation, sharing information.
Right, and letting people make their own informed choices.
Exactly. That's what that doctor in Thailand is doing, right?
Yeah, he's not saying koi pla is evil.
Right.
He's just saying, hey, be aware of the risks.
And maybe there are ways to enjoy it more safely.
Right, exactly. And it sounds like his approach is working, at least with the younger generation.
Yeah, which is hopeful. Speaking of awareness, did you see how people reacted to that gray turkey on Reddit?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. It was kind of wild.
Everyone was totally grossed out. They were horrified.
I know, it's funny, right?
Because, I bet most of those people have eaten things that were way riskier without even knowing it.
Probably. I mean, we all have, right?
Right, but it's when we see something that looks off, it freaks us out.
Yeah, like our brains are programmed to associate certain colors and textures with good food.
Mm-hmm. Fresh food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like a bright green salad or a juicy red steak.
Those are the images we see in ads all the time.
All the time.
So
yeah.
when something looks different, we're like, whoa, danger.
Someone's wrong here.
Even if we don't know why, it's like our gut instinct.
Probably.
But sometimes gut instinct isn't enough.
No, you're right.
We need to actually understand the science of food safety.
Like why certain things are dangerous and others aren't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So are you saying we all have to be food scientists to eat safely?
Uh-huh. No, not at all. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
It's not about knowing every little detail. It's just about being curious and asking questions.
Oh, okay.
And reading labels, knowing how to cook things properly.
Basics?
Yeah, even simple stuff like washing your hands and not cross-contaminating things can make a huge difference.
It's like becoming a more mindful eater.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And honestly, that mindfulness can actually make you appreciate food even more.
Oh, how so?
Well, you can still enjoy all your favorite dishes,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also more aware of where they come from, how they're made,
Right.
and the potential risks involved.
That's a really cool way to think about it. It's like you're taking control of your food choices.
You are. It's empowering.
And a little bit scary, honestly.
Uh-huh. Yeah, maybe a little. But mostly empowering, I think.
Yeah.
It's like knowledge is power, right?
So true. It's interesting, as a foodie, I usually just focus on the taste and the presentation.
Yeah, me too, honestly.
Food safety is not usually at the top of my mind.
It's easy to forget about, for sure.
But these stories we've been talking about, they've definitely made me think twice about it.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's like there's this whole other layer to food that we don't always consider.
The hidden dangers.
Yeah, and the science behind it all, but also the history, the culture. It's all connected.
It's like food is way more complex than we realize.
It really is, and that's what makes it so fascinating, I think.
For sure. This whole conversation has really changed how I think about food. I mean, I'm all about the flavors and the, artistry of a good meal.
Right.
But I kind of forget about all the science behind it.
It's easy to do. We don't see the bacteria.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Out of sight, out of mind, I guess.
Totally.
It's like we assume everything's fine until we see a great turkey.
Exactly.
And it's not just, obvious stuff like spoiled milk. Even just using the wrong pan for brining can mess things up.
For sure. It's like there's this whole other level to cooking that we often don't think about.
The science part.
Yeah. The why behind the what, why do we brine in the first place?
Right.
What happens when we cook something? It's fascinating when you really get into it.
So are you saying that if you understand the science, you'll be a better cook?
Absolutely. It can help you troubleshoot problems,
Yeah.
experiment with new stuff.
Okay, so for people who want to learn more about food safety, what should they do?
Oh, there's tons of resources out there. You can check out like university websites,
Mm-hmm.
government agencies, like the USDA.
Okay,
Even some cookbooks go into the science behind things.
that makes sense. We'll put some links in the show notes for this episode too.
Awesome.
But also, sometimes it's as simple as just asking questions. Like, if you're not sure about something, just ask someone who knows.
Exactly. There are hotlines you can call
Ugh.
or, talk to a chef.
Right. It's like anything else. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
It's true. This whole conversation has got me thinking about all the other dishes out there.
What do you mean?
Well, like that koi pla we talked about. I bet there are tons of traditional foods all over the world that might be, risky.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's like, where's the line between cultural tradition and food safety?
Right. It makes you think about how food is tied to so much more than just eating.
Totally.
Mm.
It's history, it's culture, it's family, it's all mixed together.
Yeah, that's a good point. What about our listeners? I wonder if they have any family recipes that might be a little, questionable.
I'd love to hear about them. It's a great way to learn more about different cultures and also, maybe be a little more careful in the kitchen.
That's a good takeaway. Food is awesome, it's delicious, it brings people together,
It does.
but there's always that element of risk, right? We just got to be aware of it.
Absolutely. Be informed, be curious, and most importantly, enjoy your food.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.